And kind of. I'm not really putting anything more in it for now. Hold on. Apparently, should have picked up a mirror before I turned this on. Anyway. Bits of flyaway. So, I actually need to put some more stuff on my scalp after a little while today. Yeah, my hair's gotten pretty long. It's also pretty frizzy right now. It's pretty dry. So I'll probably just put some regular leave-in conditioner there, but I need to do the stuff on my scalp today. Yeah, it's starting to get that feeling that I know leads up to it, like, doing all the nasty stuff, where, like, I'll get these chunks that sort of come out of my pores, and sometimes it'll bleed. They're kind of like, almost like the sleepies in your eyes. And then I'll get, like, pieces of my scalp that start to, like, peel off, and it'll take my hair with it. All of this takes hair with it. Yeah. And then I have the breakage that I deal with because of the Hashimoto's. Actually, for a while, I thought that the thing with my scalp was because of Hashimoto's, so I found out that it actually has a name, and that my doctor was a complete idiot for dismissing it whenever I tried to go to her with it, like 2 years ago. So I've been basically dealing with this on my own. I use mane and tail mixed with water, and there's this one skin lotion that absorbs really well. And we use it for Gene and his issues sometimes, to try and, like, avoid it getting really bad, whenever he's kind of had it recover a little bit. He doesn't actually like to use the cream that he has to use for it, but the doctor basically gives him something that's supposed to be almost like for, like, a burn cream, but, it's almost like, something for, like, chafing and stuff, but this isn't chafing. He has no idea where it came from. And I, for one, have never seen eczema that looks like this. She hadn't quite seen anything that looked like it either. But like right there in those spots on his body where this happens, we do know that he doesn't really have, his skin isn't really producing the oils that it needs to protect itself. So, like, it can make it worse. And so, like, it's almost like he has, like, extensive burns. But, like, no idea where they came from. So, she gives him this cream for the stuff on his hands, and just assumes that it's the same on his body. But it's not. It's actually worse. And there's a lot of it, especially on his legs. And I guess it's an easy spot to assume that it's chafing, but it's not. Chafing doesn't do that to anybody. I mean, chafing can do some fucked up shit to you, but not that. Not that. Like, it's bad. And his skin is literally not making, like, the oils right there. It is so damaged. It can't even, like, protect itself, and it just keeps on getting worse. And it'll happen in other areas on his legs. And even whenever it's not like that, it'll be really different there. The texture's a little bit different. It's like with me on an old burn that you can't really visually see, except his you can see. Mine, I had 2nd and 3rd degree burns between my thumb and forefinger. The only visual effect that you have is that I can't really go very far with my thumb. Whereas this one... Okay, so if I go kind of fast, I can go a little bit further. But... yeah, it's not going any further than that. I'm trying. Look. that even just pressing it, it's not going to happen. Because the burn was bad enough that it affected not only the skin, but also the muscles and the tendons. It's not going any further. So I just move my hands a little bit more around the keyboard. People don't even really notice because I have arthritis, so sometimes I have to do that anyway. So, but visually, you'd have to get up pretty early on a day that, like, weather was exactly right and the humidity was exactly right to even see the difference in the skin pigment. Yeah. So, yeah. But since that came after a bunch of my records disappeared, that should actually be in a medical record somewhere. Because they gave me cream for it, and I had to take antibiotics because it was infected, had to have it wrapped for a while. I also blogged about it while it was going on, and what I had to do, how I was really self-conscious about the scar until I got it to fade. I was actually using stuff on it to make it fade. And there was actually, I think it was like for a year or two, I would wear gloves and whatnot because I was super self-conscious. Now I just kind of leave this scar out in the open. Because, yeah, that was the other one that I got. That was not a burn. That was not done on purpose, but during the course of fighting for my kids, there was some stuff that came of that caused that. So, yeah. It actually used to raise a lot further, so I'm not surprised that it's like that. I've got scars that, like, you can barely see, and I can't even see them, but I can run my finger over and feel the slight difference. And so could anyone else if I let them touch me there. But I'm not going to, just because it's very personal, especially whenever you get up there towards the knees and stuff. I'm not sure why the pigment is just easier to blend with me. Some spots I've got scars that stick out either, because of lack of pigment. Some scars, they've got more pigment. Some scars just blend in. I don't really know why. Most of my scars actually blend in if they're old enough. I don't know. A lot of people wear makeup, and I think people kind of forget this stuff. Like, you spend so much time covering it up, you never really learn to, I just guess observe people without it. Oh, yeah, that's the lotion that I use. No, but I sometimes I apply a little bit of it, directly on the scalp. I have to, move hair and stuff, but it actually helps. It moisturizes it whenever it gets really dry, but I can't just use that or just use the conditioner, because they just affect different things, I guess. But together, they work really well. I'm not, mixing them together, I'm just using them separately at, different times in the day. So, anyway, I have to do that. I'm in the bedroom right now, because I am going to because my hip is still healing after that last debacle this weekend, I'm where I can put pressure on it while still doing what I need to do. Most of what I need to do, besides the cleaning stuff, I can do it anywhere in the house. It's on the computer. So, I can move the laptop with me. I can lay down, I can sit up, I can do what I need to do. That's why. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna wait until the next time I have to go down the stairs to bring up Mr. Clean, squeegee thingies, because I forgot to bring them up with me. Yeah. We saw some at the 99-cent store and we stock up on them. I also have the discount wannabe ones. We get those a lot. but they're not as good, and they fall apart the moment that they're up against, like, pretty much anything, any resistance. So, yeah, they're kind of a pain in the butt like that. I do find, though, that putting a little bit of dish soap on them helps. Not sure why, but it helps. And I actually need to do some research to make sure that that's even safe. Because I don't know what these things are made out of. And if you make certain chemicals, they can kind of, like, be toxic. I'm guessing that it's safe because I've done it and I'm not dead yet. Nobody's gotten sick. Especially me, because I'm the one that's up close to it. And I'm prone to that. I'm extremely sensitive to chemicals. I've always been sensitive to chemicals. I guess that's another thing that the medications didn't cause. They did make it worse, though. Probably not the issue itself, just because there's so much that sort of, like, happened because of it. Yeah. But, yeah. Naturally, there are people who try to blur the lines between natural chemicals and everything's chemicals. Whenever people say chemicals, they mean things like your chemistry kit. Like the things that you clean with. The things that you probably shouldn't be eating and are probably poison. That's what they mean by that. Things that you don't need to eat, things that are not good for you to eat, things that you would not naturally consume. Especially in the form that it comes from. This is not something that you would naturally get by eating an orange or something. That's what people mean by that. And I'm really super sensitive, even to the natural chemicals, so I have to be careful. So, natural chemicals, though it's simple, you know. I have acid reflux. That's what I mean by that. I also have gastroenteritis. That's what they told me years ago. I have chronic gastroenteritis. So, balancing act of the century, because I'm also lactose intolerant. On the, okay, I need to, hold on. Yay! I didn't accidentally press stop this time! Yeah, I tried to continue the video earlier, and I accidentally pressed stop instead of pause, and I'm just like, well, since I don't have the software, fucking idiot, I have to re-record shit. And I ended up talking about completely different stuff than I actually intended to begin with. Alright. I shouldn't have pressed it yet, because I'm still positioning my other leg to take the pressure off of this. Hold on. Yep. Okay, now it's on that position that helps. See, I've taken ibuprofen. I'm just waiting for its effect to hit. I have some stuff to work on the computer. Job applications, something to edit. And that and cleaning is my day today. And it's actually a lot more than it sounds like. Job applications can get tedious and time-consuming, and they can actually be pretty mentally exhausting, too. They get pretty tedious. Like, they ask questions that you're like, is this even legal? Some of the questions actually aren't legal. But, or, you know, because they give answers to questions that they're not supposed to ask. And that's pretty much it. So yeah. I guess I'm going to deal with this and go through the motions that I need to go through to get things done by the time Munchkin gets home, because goddess knows I'm getting shit done once he gets home. He actually came home one day and said, "Mommy, I miss you when I'm at school." I said, "Oh, well, I miss you too." And then I'm thinking in my head, but I'm also really glad whenever you go to school, because I actually get shit done. And you're learning something, and I get a break. And I'm like, but I could never actually say that to him because that just sounds terrible. And you know, I don't want to bring up any old issues. So I just don't. But it was kind of heartwarming to hear, "Mommy, I miss you," when I'm at school. And then he constantly tells me, "Mommy, I'm glad you're home." And then he'll ask me, like, a couple hours later, "Why don't you have a job yet?" And I'm like, "Well, you can't have both, you know." And he's like, "I know. Why? Why can't I have both? Why not both? Stay home and take care of me and go to work." Oh god. I would literally like have no time to take care of anything. Ugh. I told him like you can't do both. I can't be in both places at once. He's like, "You'll find a way, Mommy." Oh my god, that kid. I'm like, well, even if I'm working at home, you know, I can't do both the same time, because if you're bugging me, they'll fire me. And he's like, "Why? You didn't do anything." You know, like, this is a whole conversation. And I'm like, well, no. And, you know, technically right now I haven't brought it up, but I could probably apply at the place I did seasonal work last year. Yeah, I've literally been looking that long. But at the same time, I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to end up in a position where I would be let go earlier. But you know, the reason I kept my mouth shut was the same reason of what happened whenever the other lady spoke up. Plus, you know, the guy this time didn't lie to me about it. He hadn't even been there long enough to know. Like, yeah. So, I got the same guy last time. Before this last time, I guess the first time. And he lied to me too. And this lady was standing up and they were looking at her like she was a crazy lady. And, you know, she was not exactly handling it well. So I was like, I couldn't really get involved in this because I was literally like in the middle of a call. But she stood up and she was saying that she'd been promised more money. And the thing of it is that he's not the only one doing this there, because someone else who was still there, he was promised more money going to another program. And they switched things up. And they only told them that it was that way after they got there and had accepted it. So I was sort of like, no. I can't reapply with this company. If I have to, I will find another company that does this campaign. And I will apply there because I like this campaign. And I'm trained in it. And yes, maybe refresher course, because they're always changing something. But in general, I know how to handle it. And I know how to do the projects. And pretty much the only thing I would need is if they've changed something and some stuff, but like, I don't know. The liaison is good, you know, with the company, because it's one of those things where they're really involved. The liaison's good. But the company itself that they're working with, I'm sure that there's worse, but I literally sat there without all the tools for the entire, like, until the last week. And I was doing stuff without all the tools I needed to do my job. And I had enough experience with this company to know that this lady wasn't crazy. Her reaction was a bit... She wasn't shy about it. And that doesn't make you any friends in that industry. And especially whenever you're yelling and people are on the phone. And they're dealing with customers and you are causing a fuss. You don't do that while people are on the phone. That can actually hurt everyone around you. But no, she wasn't lying. There's actually a guy there who tells people in hiring that you will make more than you actually make. And you are blatantly left under the impression, even before that, that if you get all of your hours and you're not even like a minute late and all that, and that you will make more money. And they don't give you oh, well, that starts this point. No, they tell you as if it's going to start right then. And then during training, you're told that it's going to start whenever you get out there. And they were even misleading the liaison with this. Like, even he was like, come on, tell me, what's going on with this. And eventually they were like, oh, well, it's only going to be, like, for this period of, like, a couple weeks. And everyone was pissed. There were people who walked out just because of that. I didn't, because I needed the money. And I kind of did like the job, but not enough to be lied to. Not enough to have all this stuff going on and still deal with it. Like, you don't mess with my paycheck. You don't mess with people's paycheck. You be upfront about what you're going to pay them. If there's going to be bonuses, you tell them when these bonuses apply. You do not leave people with the... And it was very clear that this was the intention, because this was supposed to pull people in. You do not leave people with the notion that they are going to earn, like... And it wasn't even that much more. It was literally just, like, 75 cents. But this is 75 cents that adds up. And people had figured out what they could have, like, what they could be making, what they should be making. People were keeping track of this shit. And this isn't okay. Like, it's actually a lot of money. It adds up to quite a bit. And it's enough money that it matters to everyone involved, especially whenever you're dealing, with a minimum wage job. That's what it is. It's minimum wage, and customers can be absolutely terrible to you. And then they talk about, oh, well, that's because you're not doing as much as people who work at the actual office. And I'm like, I would do this stuff at the actual office. I don't actually mind, writing letters to customers and, abiding by very neat handwriting, sort of thing. I don't mind handwriting letters and stuff. I really don't mind. I would do that stuff in a heartbeat. But do not lie to me about my paycheck. Do not mess with the bonuses. And I could even, I don't know, it's just that the first time it happened, I dismissed it. But this is the second go through that I actually went through this. And I don't like being misled, and I don't really want to be associated with a company that misleads people. I guess that's the bottom line. If it was just accidental and it wasn't really meant to, that would be something I could deal with. But it's pretty blatant, and it's pretty obvious that if they just continue to do this, knowing that it's misleading, that's their intention. So it's kind of like a last resort thing. If I absolutely have to, I will, with absolutely no intention to stay afterwards. Because I've already been told they run this program differently, which to me says more ethically. This tells me that they run their other stuff less ethically because the people aren't there, because they don't have a liaison coming on site to make sure that they're doing it. See, I like this program. I am both a customer and a customer service person. Oh, sorry, customer care. I don't like calling it customer service. Even though they've systematically over the years basically built up a customer base that makes a habit of abusing customer service to get free stuff. I'm hoping that there's less of that now. I mean, there kind of was, but at the same time, like, we had people who just continuously were like, well, then maybe they just raised the standard of what I have to do, and they were literally just trying to figure out how to get free stuff. Like, yeah. There's actually only once, though, that I had to call, like, since then, and I was like, look, I used to do this job, just give me to someone above you. Like, I already know what tools you have. I know you can't fix this. Give me to someone above you. Like, I already knew what tier I even needed to go to get this fixed. And, like, they were just trying not to send me there. And it was like, look, I wouldn't even be calling if this wasn't an issue with the website. And I don't want you to throw free stuff at me. I don't want you to throw discounts at me. I just want it fixed. And I'm already familiar with all of the workarounds. I've used all of them. None of them are working. I already have an idea of exactly what the problem is, but I know you don't have the tools to fix it. The only, like... And I went through, like, this big long thing because they didn't want to just send me to who could fix it. And I was like, go ahead, ask your supervisor. Because they were like, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm like, go ahead. They're going to tell you the same thing. And, of course, you can't just transfer someone to a tier that you know can handle it and has those extra tools. You have to actually go through the different tiers to do so. And, you know, so he got me up to the next tier, and I'm like, here's what's went on. You need to transfer me. You know, it's one of those things, like... And there were people who were like, why haven't you been transferred up? Oh, I'm like, whoa, somebody coughed on me, and so I got sick, and I'm still sick. I was literally sick the whole time, and it took me probably about 6 months to get my immune system even back up to where it needed to be, as far as that went, to recover from basically being constantly sick for months. And just, call centers aren't necessarily like that. I know that people are like, well, call centers are a petri dish for stuff, but no. I was blatantly coughed on by supervisor. This one supervisor just, it was like she was out to share these germs with everybody. And I did not disclose this, like, officially. But it was known. And I did tell people, if you cough on me, I will get sick. And, you know, supervisors, I was telling them whether they were listening or not. I don't know. You can't be doing this. Because my immune system is doing stuff that it's not supposed to. And that means it's maybe not putting in the effort that it needs to in the things that it is supposed to. So you can't be coughing on me. And then, you know, because I have that old damage to my vocal cords, I lose my voice really easily whenever I'm sick. Yeah. So, once you got me out there, where I've got these people coughing on me, like, most of the supervisors and whatnot were great. They didn't do this. But there's this one. She was really nice otherwise, but I just sort of felt like screaming at her because, you know, even while she was sick, she was using people's headsets. That alone is bad, by the way. Like, she was coughing everywhere. And on people, and like there was this point I was wiping the spittle off my face. There was no way for me to avoid getting sick in this situation at all. And that's another thing I don't want to deal with, because they don't really have a policy to deal with that, and if they do, they're not enforcing it. You cannot be coughing on people. And like I don't know anybody at that office who wasn't sick at some point because of this. Like, normally you have your people that sort of get through it without being sick, and there's usually more of them. But, you know, whenever you're blatantly coughing on people, more people get sick. And, you know, there was that, and the pay issues, and I was upset about this too. I just wasn't standing up in the middle of the room yelling about it for the customers could hear over the phone. And I actually had to talk to that customer that I was on the phone with during this lady standing up and say, well, at our location there is someone who has a dispute about the pay. That's all. And she's like, well, I bet you guys get paid a lot. And I'm like, no, we don't. We do not. And not all the customers are as awesome as you. Because it was a really nice customer. And I couldn't just say, oh, don't worry about that, because that doesn't really endear you to the customers. And as a customer, that usually kind of just makes me leery. It just makes people suspicious, so just be honest with them. Don't tell them more than you need to, just be honest. That's what I experienced. That's my experience, just be honest. Like, yeah, somebody is having a dispute about the pay, and they're angry. And that's all. Let's get you taken care of. You know, sort of thing. And, you know, they might ask some things about what's going on. You don't have to give them too many details, but it does put people at ease to know that you're not keeping, like, stuff from them, and that, you know, you're not all secretly working in some sweatshop. And, you know, some of the customers, they want to know that, you know, what kind of environment you're working in, and they will ask. And if you don't want to tell them, it'll make them speculate. It really just brings more attention to where you work if you don't. Like, they'll start asking more questions. Like, then it becomes even more intriguing. So I was telling them, nah, actually, this isn't that bad. But, you know, like any place, it has its issues. And they're like, oh, I bet you work in a cubicle. No, actually, we have desks. And we're not shoulder to shoulder. And I've actually worked in places that put you that way. And we're given tools that we can actually help you guys out. You know, I was telling them, you know, there's actually a lot. You know, like, this is actually decent. But the thing is that the company's practices and pay aren't all that decent. See, what you have to understand is that these people will pay you as little as possible, and you are doing something that is a difficult and stressful job. It has a high suicide rate for people who do this job. It is not that it is technically difficult. It is that you are dealing with people, and people can be shit. The quickest way to learn to hate the human race is to do customer service. And this is also one of the most undervalued jobs in a company. They will pay you the shittiest pay, and you will deal with this. But you are the face, and you are the voice, or if you're on the phone, of the company to these customers. And if you're not happy, they can hear that. So some customers will actually become disenfranchised with the company because they know that customer service isn't being treated well. And it doesn't matter whether customer service is telling them this or not, they can see it. You know, they're aware of it. It's not something that you can necessarily completely hide. If a customer is actively looking, they will find it. And they'll find it on something like Glassdoor, or something like that, even just over the phone. With something like Walmart, you don't need the news to tell you that they treat their employees like shit. The corporate literally does not care. You can literally just walk into a Walmart and see it. It's not something that's as subtle as some people like to think. If you know what you're looking at, you know what you're looking at. If you don't, you don't. And there will be customers, you'll get those really terrible customers, but then you'll get the customers that want to know. They think that this is a job that you should be paid more for. They don't think that this is a minimum wage job because you're doing a lot, and I liked that campaign specifically because it let me take the time to help the customers. A lot of them will be like, well, you need to take this many calls in this amount of time, and I can do that. But also, I like to be able to take that time and do what the customer needs and get them taken care of so that they're not having to call back. And that makes for happier customers. If I have the freedom to do that, I'll do it. But at the same time, I don't know, I just really... It's sort of a thing. It's a big deal for us to move around our schedules and stuff so that I can have a job. And I want one that's consistent that I'm going to keep. And I'd really like to do the one that I actually went and got all that extra training for. But if I can't, yes, I'll go back and I'll work in a call center. But I will not do sales. I suck at sales anyway. Half of sales is deceiving your customers. I have no ability to lie whatsoever. And I don't want to have an ability to lie. So I am so honest that Munchkin has gotten to the point where I get a text from his dad, and he could say, "What is it?" Or he can go, "Adult text?" And I'll just be like, "How did you know?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I know how he knows. It's because my face. Like, a friend of mine will even look at me and say, "Oh, so you guys are texting some sexy stuff now." And I'll be... And she's like, "It's the way that you smile." And I'm like, "But I smile every time you text me." She's like, "No, it's a different smile." Like, it just looks different. So, I'm only stone-faced whenever it's a situation where I don't feel safe. Like, surrounded by social workers. I'm never going to feel safe in that situation. I wasn't safe as a kid in that situation. As an adult, I've seen and experienced how full of shit they are, and how they're just looking for something to twist, like some fucked up cheerleader in high school that is a catty little bitch and just wants to destroy everyone else to make themselves look better. That's pretty much what it often is, the type of person that you can run into in that. And nobody deals with it, so they just kind of run rampant and hurt a lot of people. So, if I'm stone-faced, it's because I don't trust you with my feelings. Like, to not try and twist them or use them. But generally speaking, whenever, I'm not in a situation like that, I'm very animated. I may occasionally have resting bitch face, but I'm also very animated if I'm interacting with you or someone around me. It's not something I think about. It's just something that I do. And I don't think about it. And, if I think you're full of shit, it'll be written all over my face. So, if I don't like you, it'll be written all over my face. I'm a fairly honest person. And my problem is whenever people want you to lie to them, and then they because they want to pretend that they're actually likable. Meanwhile, they're lying to your face and doing all this other catty crap, and you're just kind of like, I hate you for good reason. They want to pretend like you don't have a reason to hate them, or that they're super likable because they want to live with themselves. They need you to like them because they don't like themselves, I guess. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I wasn't born to be your approval meter. So, I guess it kind of makes me a bitch to them. That's the extent of it, though. I'm not going out of my way to make them feel like shit. I'm just not going out of my way to stroke their ego either. So, that's the kind of person I am. I'm so honest. A 7-year-old knows when his dad is sending me adult texts. He doesn't know what that means. He just knows that he's not supposed to read them. Because sometimes he wants to look over my shoulder, and I'll tell him, nope. If it's an adult text, you'll be scarred for life. Trust me. And, yeah. So he doesn't look. But he's started to think it's really funny. And then recently he realized that every time somebody sings Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, his dad gets red in the face. And I told him, well, that's because, at one point, I had Daddy sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and did some things. So I wanted him to have good memories with it. And he's like, what kind of things? And I'm like, adult things. He's like, what kind of adult things? I'm not going to tell you. Nice try, though. He's like, really, Mom? And I'm like, really, Chris?